Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is very exciting because it's officially acceptable to talk about fall, to create a spread that is fall themed, kind of. I didn't want to go too heavy on the fall, but definitely this is something that in my mind represents fall and like changing of the leaves and it getting cooler outside. Because if you're like me and you love the show Gilmore Girls, once it gets cooler outside, I always want to rewatch the show. I'm actually currently rewatching it right now. It's probably like the third or fourth time, like all the way through. Of course, I've seen some other episodes more than others, but it's got to be the fourth time, I would say, all the way through. And I still watch it. Like, I'm not on my phone. I don't do anything extra. I just sit there and watch the show. And so when I had this idea to do it for my bullet journal, I thought, well, that's a great idea. And hopefully there are a lot of people out there who have watched the show as well. I mean, it's pretty popular. So hopefully you'll like this spread for the month of September. So that's what we're doing. That's what we went with. I wanted it to be, obviously, Gilmore Girls, but I didn't want it to be so on the nose because I could have done a ton of quotes. We could have done more cartoony. We could have done more just like drawings, if that makes any sort of sense. Am I making sense? Like, I could have just drawn the Luke's logo. We could have had coffee. We could have had you know what I mean. We could have had all kinds of stuff, but I wanted it to be more kind of sketchy. Like, if you were to open a sketchbook, this is what you would find, but it's also like a hint of Gilmore Girls. I don't even know if this is making any sense, but hopefully someone out there is kind of like, yeah, I get what she's going for. So to start out, we are using colored pencils. I couldn't decide between this or watercolor, but it had been a while since I used colored pencils, and for a minute I thought that I had left my Prisma colors back in Texas, like stored away somewhere, but thankfully I didn't, and I was smart and packed them and moved them. And so I really like this because, again, it's very sketchy, very like if you were to open a sketchbook, this is what you would find. And so for the cover page on the right hand side, I have cut out a piece of cardstock into like just the size that I want, and I decided to do a sketch of the Dragonfly Inn. Obviously it's not like super detailed, it's not like anything to like put up on your wall, but again, just something very simple. I wanted it to look like the Dragonfly Inn. It's yellow. It's kind of a zoomed in portion where the front porch is, where the door is, and that way you can like see some more of the details, some more of the siding, the shutters, everything that makes it the inn. I did add the sign up at the top. I know that that's not like where it is. I mean, obviously it's not floating in the sky. That's not where a sign would be, but normally it's like hanging from the front porch, like from the roof of the front porch on that like second window on the left, like if you were to face it. So that's normally where it is, but I wanted it a little more zoomed up so you could like see the font, see the dragonfly, that kind of a thing. And so that's why I put it up there in that white space up there. But you can see here, I'm just taking, this is like a G2 ink pen, like it's nothing fancy, it's not a fine line or anything, and kind of just like going back over it so you can get the detail of the siding and all of that. So we're moving on to, I guess this is technically more the cover page, because it says like what month it is. It says September. And one thing to note, just really quick, because I know it's going to come up later and you'll probably see it and be like, that is not the same thing she drew at the beginning. So this is a different day. The lighting might look a little different. I use natural light, and so the lighting might look a little different. It is a different day. But over here we are working on September, and I had drawn this out once before. Okay, did the whole flip through, thought it was done, was like, wow, what a cute. I misspelled September. I misspelled it. I promise I know how to spell, but I spelled it like Semp-timber, like S-E-M-P-T. I don't know why. It was just one of those moments, one of those like blonde moments I had where I was like, and I can say that because I'm blonde, but it was just like one of those blonde moments that I had where I was like, That's really dumb of me. So here I am fixing it, and it's also, it's a little frustrating, like it is what it is, but it's one of those things, here, you can see it right here where it says September. Oh, and then it just switches over like nothing happened, because that's the magic of editing. But we'll pretend like nothing happened. We'll pretend that I spelled it right the first time. But it was a bit frustrating because it's one of those things where the first one I drew, I kind of liked better, and then you try to recreate it and you're like, it's not quite the same, but it is the same. Anyway, it's just one of those little things. So we fixed that, but since I knew that you would see that, I knew I had to say something. I promise I can spell. But that was the first cover page. I wanted the September to kind of go with the Dragonfly Inn, like it was cohesive. So we basically took the design of the sign for the Dragonfly Inn and made it my own. Like we kept the original border and some of the intricate details in the corner to kind of round it out. And then I did a different font. I wanted it to be more script-like that says September. And then I added a couple of dragonflies flying around because I thought, how cute. And then I taped it in with just some washi tape. I got it from Walmart like years and years and years ago, and I've never used it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna use it. So I did. But also something to note is that I have a lot of craft paper. I just had this vision that there was craft paper, and I had a lot of scrap paper lying around, but none of it was like this color. And I just had in my brain that it had to be like this shade of craft paper. So that's what we did. And I went ahead and like pre-cut it out and glued everything in. That way, I don't know, just kind of would get repetitive and kind of boring just watching me cut paper and glue it in. But it is a recurring theme throughout. So like the cover page, the whole background was the craft paper, and then we added the Dragonfly Inn in the September on top of it, whereas on this one, and throughout the weekly spreads, they're kind of cut out and glued in for different shapes. Like the box above where I'm drawing right now is going to be the calendar. I mean, you get the drift. But down below, we're working on books. So obviously Rory loves to read books. It's mentioned throughout how many books she reads. And so this was another way I thought I could like nod to Gilmore Girls without being so direct. Like hopefully you're kind of understanding what I mean by that. But these are all books that she mentions during the show. I forget how many books exactly she mentions. I know a lot of people like do the challenge where they read every single book she's ever mentioned, which is like commitment. I don't think I could do that. Like I'm a reader and I love to read, but it has to be something that I want to read. I don't think I would willingly read Moby Dick. Like maybe that's just me, but I wouldn't do that. So yeah, we have like Moby Dick, we had Carrie, we had Charlotte's Web, Alice in Wonderland, 1984, just books like that. And so I thought that was a fun nod. And then we added coffee on top because they talk about coffee like 80 times in every episode, which I can relate to because I am a barista. So therefore I love coffee and I drink quite a lot of it. I've actually gotten better to where I drink 1 coffee a day, but there for a while, I mean, when you're around it as much as I am, you drink a lot of coffee. But again, adding the washi tape around the craft paper, that kind of becomes a recurring theme. Writing September on top. And something I did with the calendar this time was just write the numbers, because the numbers themselves kind of make the square of the calendar. So I didn't draw any harsh lines. I didn't even draw any horizontal lines like I did with last month's spread. So yeah, now we're coming over to my September best page, which is where I write like the highlight of my day, something great that happens. Sometimes I'm really good about keeping up with it, sometimes I'm not. I know I've mentioned this a million times, but that's why I kind of got rid of my habit trackers and things like that, because I'm not great at keeping up with this. But I try my best with the best, because I just think it's good to be reminded of good things in your life, and you know, good things that have happened, and to be grateful for those things. So that's something that I really try to keep up with. But I also didn't number the days. I figured I could just number it as I go. I might keep up with that. I might number it again. I don't know. So moving on to the weekly spread. This is the only weekly spread that I show for the sake of the video. But if you do want to see my other weekly spreads, because each page is going to be different, still kind of the same six box for the days, like the same layout for the days. There we go. Those are the words I'm trying to say. But like each sign is different. So I wanted it to be like a sign kind of coming off a building. So obviously here we have Luke's. I put a quote that he says down here as well. But then we also have like Miss Patty's School of Dance, we have Kim's Antiques, and then we have Josie's Market. So if you do want to see like the rest of those and how they turned out, then I will be posting a short of the full flip through. So just be on the lookout for that, because it'd be fun to see each one. But the quote that I said for Luke is, "I'm fine, I'm great, it's a big fat happy sunshine day for me," which he's gonna say, which he says it better than I can. But it felt like a pretty good quote to pick for Luke.
Yeah, I'm fine, I'm great. It's a big fat happy sunshine day for me.
And then another thing that I did to make it look a bit more fall, because at this point Gilmore Girls itself is fall, but I wanted it just like a hint more. So we add just a bunch of different leaves like floating around, and that's something that I do throughout for the rest of the weekly spreads. So we've got just regular leaves floating around. I do like yellow, orange, red, brown, you know, folly colors. But that was just something that I thought would be a cute ad, going in with my color pencils and figuring everything out. I do erase, at least I hope, I erase those pencil lines that are there. I do. Look at me. But that is it. I hope everyone enjoyed. I hope you go watch Gilmore Girls, rewatch it if you've seen it, watch it for the first time if you haven't. And of course, thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited for next month's spread. Bye!